Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video I need to focus on principle BSDF. It's one of the important nodes, and you can say it's all in one material because here we have a lot of option inside one node. This material is accurate, physically accurate when you want to create a realistic material, but you need to know how to manipulate these sliders so you can get a correct result. Here on this side I have this shader ball, and I will put this shader ball with the project folder so you can use it. And I created this shader ball so I can see the results of the material. Whatever thing I do here, I can see it right here on this shader ball. Alright, let's start with the base color. First, let's hizzy and let's go to the material preview so I can see the material, the result here. The base color, if you want to change the color of the object, you need to go to the base color and change it whatever color that you like. And here we have a slider. If you like to work with these numbers, you can add the numbers here to work with, or you can use this color wheel to change the color to whatever color that you like. And here we have the RGB. If you want to add values here in the R and G and B, the red and green and blue, you can do that. And here you can make the result bright or dark. For example, if you make it blue, this is light bright blue, and this is dark blue. Let's take this back to the center. So changing the color, it's done from this area, and you can add an image texture right here. For example, let's go to the folder of the texture and let's add any image here so I can see the result. This is the texture folder. I will grab any texture of these textures and add it right here. I will click and drag this one and put it here. And let's plug the color with the base color, and immediately I can see that I have a wood texture right here, the wood texture that I plugged here. So you have two options. Either you can plug a texture here, an image texture, and use it on to your object, or you can manipulate the color right here. And if you like to connect any node from the node list, but not all the nodes, just specific nodes, to the base color, you can do that. For example, you can go to the color section and you can RGB. Let's see, where is it? We have RGB color here. Let's search for RGB. Yeah, you can plug an RGB color here to this base color and change the color to whatever color that you like. And you may ask why I need to do this while I have a color here comes with a principled. You can use this for multiple principled BSDF. If you like to duplicate this one, for example, can duplicate this one here, and you want to give both of them a specific color controlled by this node, you can do this. This is the idea of using this node. Let's delete this one. Control X, and this one Control X as well. Alright, I need to talk about the metal and non-metal materials. Let's start with non-metal. If you want to create non-metal material like plastic, like marble, etc., you need to know which slider here we need to manipulate and which is not. If you want to work with non-metal, the metallic slider, you should keep it at 0 to simulate non-metal material. For example, if I want to create plastic material, I need to keep the metallic for 1, because if I crank this option to 1, I can switch the material from being plastic to being a metal material. Let's say that this slider right here, the metallic, is control that thing. So creating non-metal material, you need to keep this as 0 creating metal material, push this to 1. Here we have the specular slider. This slider gives you a layer of reflection above your material. If you crank this back to 0, you can see nothing here, just the diffuse color here. Let's switch this to something maybe red, or let's see which color I can pick. Yeah, let's switch this to red. Here we have just the diffuse color, and I don't have any layer of reflection above it. And this is not correct, and this is not real. There is no material act like this without any layer of reflection above it. So you need to keep the specular most of the time or always to 0.5. Let's add 0.5 right here. Let's take the roughness back to 0.5 as well. Alright, so keep in mind to leave this specular amount to 0.5, because this number 0.5 is, we can say it is suitable for most of the material. They added this slider here to mimic the Fresnel effect. Fresnel effect is something important, and it exists in real life. And I just can give you a quick example to understand what's Fresnel mean. Let's assume that we have a water, or let's say that someone is stood in front of a river here. Alright, so someone stood right here. Alright, and here we have water. If he throw a rock to this direction, the rock will go directly inside underneath the water inside the river. But if he throw the rock like this, parallel to the water surface, like this, the rock will hit the surface and it will jump back. The rays acting in the same scenario. When the rays hit the surface at this angle from top to bottom like this, the rays will go directly to the surface underneath it. But if the rays comes like this parallel to the surface, the rays will come back to the eye, to the viewer eye. So at extreme angle like this, for example, if we have a sphere, if you look at the sphere, you can see that we have some reflection around the edge of the sphere, because this angle is so far to your eye. So because of that, you can see some reflection. But here in the middle, you can see the reflection, but you can see the color of the sphere itself. For example, let's add here a sphere. Let's add a UV sphere. It is very big. Let's hit S and scale it. Hit G, scale it even more, just a little bit. Right click, shade smooth, and let's give it a material, whatever color, and let's take the roughness back to 0. Alright, notice right here I can see the color of the material itself here in the center, but for the rims I can't see the color of the material, but I can see the reflection of the environment. This is the Fresnel effect. For extreme angle like this, we can't see the color of the object, but for angle like this one in front of us, we can see the color. The same scenario as I said for the water pool. If you stand here, if you look underneath your leg, you can see what's underneath the water. But if you look far away at this angle, you can't see what's going on inside the water, but you can see just the reflection of the environment, I mean sky or trees, etc. So the specular slider right here is to simulate the Fresnel effect for the object, but this slider right here is not working for glass material or water, the liquids, because we have another IOR for them, and we will talk about this later. Keep this slider at 0.5 is something okay and working for most of the material. I will delete this sphere And let's go back to the same material. Here we have the specular tint. If you push this forward, you will make, let's take the roughness back to 0. If I push this forward, you will make the reflection red, because we have the base color red. So pushing the specular tints affect the color of the reflection and make it similar to the base color that we have here. We have red, so the reflection will be red. The roughness right here is something very important. This help us to make the material looks rough or smooth to see the reflection. You can see the reflection right now, the trees that we have here, because the roughness is 0. That means the surface is polished and very, very smooth. But if you push this forward just a little bit, now the reflection become blurred out, or let's say the surface become rough, and you can't see sharp reflection anymore because of this slider. And what's going on behind the scene, let's draw a line right here. Let's assume that this is the material, and here we have rays hit the material. We learned that if the material or the surface of the material is smooth, like this one, the rays will jump back at the same angle. And because of that, we can see sharp reflection. Let's add a camera right here. But if we manipulate the roughness and push this forward, the surface will be like this. It will be rough. Alright, now the rays when hit this surface will go in different direction. This another ray hit this area. Now this ray jumped here and jumped here, and some of them goes here at this direction. Because of that, because of that, the material become rough and we can't see any sharp reflection anymore. And this is microscopic effect. You can't see it with your naked eye. So this is controlled by this slider. You can push it forward to 1, or you can push it to the 0 to make the reflection of the object more rough or more smooth. And we will learn how to use this later. Here we have an Strobic effect. This option works with a brushed metal. Brushed metal, I mean the material or the metal that have scratch at one direction. Let's open some images to see where we can find the Enstropic effect. Here we have some images for the Enstropic effect. As you see here, we have radial scratches. Because of that, because of these scratches that we have here, the reflection goes like a line like this, as you see here. Goes from center out. And you can see this for the hair as well. We can see that we have an Strobic effect for the hair. The reflection goes like this, like a line. The same scenario for the CD. Here we have a radial scratch. And because of that, we can see that we have an Strobic effect. The reflection goes from center out. And here as well, the same scenario. We have a scratch on this beam, and that's affect the reflection as well and make it looks like this. And for this one as well, the same scenario here, and this one, and this for this example, the same thing. Okay, let's see how can we use the Enstropic effect here. Let's hit Z and go to the render. Alright, now you can see that the reflection, check the reflection that I have here and how it looks. I will push the Enstropic effect to 1 and let's see what's gonna happen. Alright, as you see, nothing happened because we don't have a roughness, and that makes sense because the Enstropic effect happen because the surface is brushed to one direction, so it is rough. So we need to push the roughness to 0.5, for example, so we can see the effect. Now we can see that we have an Strobic effect here in this area, and here as well you can see, and here. And if I take this back to 0, you can see the difference here. So check this before and after. Check the reflection now. The Enstropic rotation is control the rotation of the reflection. If you push this, we will have another effect. It will turn the Enstropic effects and rotate it. And as you see now, I can see that I have another kind of reflection goes here. So here you have the ability to rotate your Enstropic effect to suit your scene. I will take this back to 0, and let's take back the Enstropic effect to 0 as well. Okay, here we have the sheen effect. This slider right here give you another layer of reflection above your object, but this option right here, most of the time we use it for the fabric. Let's put this forward to see what will happen. As you see now, at the extreme angle like this one, and this angle here, and here, and maybe here as well, you can see the difference. Let's take this to 1 and check before and after. The sheen tint right here will make the reflection color similar to the base color of the principled here. Here we have clear coat. This option give you a smooth reflection, or a smooth layer of reflection above your object. If I want to, for example, let's take the metallic to 1, and let's take the roughness to 1 as well. As you see now, I can see that I have rough metal. If we want to add another smooth layer of reflection above the object, we can now manipulate the clear coat to achieve this, even if the roughness is too high. So let's push the clear coat to 1, and as you see now, I can see that I have a smooth layer of reflection above my object, and this effect is very beautiful if you want to create a car paint material. It's very nice. As you see now, I have the roughness, the material is very rough, but I have a layer of smooth reflection above it. So as I said, you can use this effect to create a car paint material. Here we have the clear coat roughness. If you manipulate this one and push it forward, you will make the clear coat layer rough or not rough. So this slider can control that. Alright, now here we have the transmission. The transmission change the nature of the material and make it looks like glass. So if you want to create a glass material, you need to push this one forward to achieve that. Let's take the metallic to 0 and the roughness to 0.5, or let's take this to 0 as well. And clear coat, let's take this back to 0. So let's hit Z and go to the render. Let's see what we have here. When I pushed the transmission to 1, you can see that I have now a glass material. Let's take this color and let's make it white. So let's take this one. Alright. Alright, now I have the glass material. So this slider right here can change your material and make it glass. Here we have the transmission roughness. This slider here can make your material rough or not rough. And let's go back to material preview just to explain something here. Here we have this glass material and this is the medium. When rays hit the surface, the rays will not be reflected. The rays will be refracted and goes underneath the glass medium like this. And they will penetrate it and go out. Alright, so when you manipulate the roughness here, you will change the nature of the material itself from the inside, but not from the outside. Recently, we talked about the roughness here, and we said if you manipulate this one, the surface will be rough like this, and that's true. But here, if you manipulate the transmission roughness, that will not affect the surface, but it will affect the medium here. The medium will become rough. Because of that, you can't see through the glass material if you manipulate the transmission roughness here. So let's take this forward and let's see what's gonna happen. As you see now, I still can see some reflection because the surface of the material is still smooth, but I can't see through it because the medium from inside become very rough. Let's take this to 1 and see what we have here. Right. The roughness right here still work for the glass material because some of the ray that hit the surface, we say that these rays will go inside and penetrate the glass material, but a few of these rays will jump back to the viewer eye. And as you see here, I can see that I have some reflection because these rays jumped back to my camera. We still can use the roughness here to affect the surface of this glass. So if I push this forward, you can see that I affected the surface as well here. I think you got the idea now. Let's take back this to 1. And let's take the transmission back. Let's change the color to something red maybe. Alright, let's talk about the subsurface scattering. And let's draw something right here to understand what is subsurface scattering. Some of the material like wax, like human skin, when rays hit this kind of material or surface, some of these rays will jump back to the eye viewer, and most of these rays, or let's say some of these rays, will go deep inside, and they will go in different direction. And after that, these rays will go out again to the viewer eye, but they will go out and take the information from deep area underneath the surface. For example, this ray will go and travel down like this, and after that will go out again. So when this go out again, we'll take the color of the material from inside, not from outside, from the surface. This is called subsurface scattering, and we can see this. I'm just gonna show you some example to understand that more. Here we have some example for subsurface scattering. Here we have a hand, and we have a light behind these fingers. You can see that the light travels through the finger, and we can see that we have a red color right here because these rays come from inside the finger itself. Because of that, we can see that we have some reddish effect, that the color of the blood. Alright, let's go to this example and let's see it. You can see that we have some here at this area and this area as well. You can see that the light goes deep underneath the skin and jump back to the viewer, and now you have the ability to see underneath the skin this brighter area and the brighter area right here that we have in here. The candle, the same scenario here. You can see underneath the candle itself here in this area, and here at the edges, the same scenario for this image as well. And for the ears, you notice that this area becomes some transparent because the rays go inside it, and now I can see through the skin. The same thing for the leaves. So this is subsurface scattering, and this is the effect that I will get if I manipulate the subsurface scattering. Let's go back to the blender and let's hit Z and go to the render, and let's push the subsurface scattering to 1 and let's see what's gonna happen. Alright, as I said, now I can see underneath the material. For example, this area right here, you can see some color comes from inside, and here as well. You can see that I have some red color here because the base color is red. Let's change this to something blue to see the change here, the difference. Alright, now I can notice that I have bluish tint here in this area. Here we have the subsurface color. It is very important to make this color similar to this one or very close to it. So let's push this to blue as well. Alright, that's very cool. Let's make it a bit bluish. I just made a quick render to my scene to see the final effect of the subsurface scattering change that I made here. This is the result that I got. It's a very nice, beautiful result. Check how the light interact with the material, and how can I see the medium of the medium of the material itself from the inside, because here we have some rays traveled from the inside to the camera. So because of that, I can see some color here, and for example here as well, I can see the blue color that I added here for the subsurface or for the base material. You can see the effect here, and because of I manipulated the color here for the subsurface scattering, that affect the whole material and make it a bit blue. Here we have some tint of blue here. Okay, so this is the subsurface scattering. It's very important material, or let's say it's a very important effect. If you want to create a marble, if you want to create plastic material, if you want to create a rubber material, or even a skin material, you need to manipulate this slider to get correct effect. And one of these, let's push this just a little bit right here, and here we have another option here for the red and blue and green colors. Here we have some numbers here. As you see here, the red value here is 1. That means this color will travel deep inside the material and bounce back to the camera. And because of that, we can see that the effect is reddish here and here as well. A bit red, we have a tint of red. That's because this color is 1 and it has the priority. If you change the value, if you make the blue one, if you change this one to 1 and push this to 0.1, these colors will be changed and the tint will be bluish. The color will be, the subsurface color will be blue according to these change. So keep in your mind to manipulate these. Let's try to let's exit from here and let's hit Z and go to the render. Let's change this one to white for now, and this one let's take this back here. I will make this red the base color, and let's make this a bit reddish like this, and I will render the image and I will come back to see the result. Alright, the render is finished. Check this material. It's very nice and beautiful result that we got here. I tried to simulate the wax material. See this area that I have some red effect here comes from this area, and that's because of the base color that we added here, the color that we changed here for the base color, and at the same time the subsurface radius, the red channel here is 1. Because of that we see a red effect here in this area, and in this area as well, the same scenario here. And because of the subsurface color here, we change it to something close to the wax color. That's affected the overall look of the material. Alright, so this is how to create subsurface scattering material. Let's switch this to slope 3 and let's exit from here. Let's take this back to 0 and let's change this to white like this. Alright, let's jump to the emission. This effect right here, if you manipulate it, you can make the object emit light. For example, let's add plane here and let's make it very small and let's move it right here close to the ground, and let's rotate it just a little bit, and let's give it a material and let's manipulate the emission. Let's change the color to something gray, for example, or blue. Alright, let's hit Z and go to the render. By the way, I'm rendering with cycle here. Now I can manipulate the emission strength. Let's change this to maybe 10. Alright, now I can see that this object now emit light, and I can see the effect right here, the blue light. If you change this to red, for example, you will have a red effect here. Alright, now if we manipulate the base color right here is not gonna affect the emission color that we have here. This one override this one here. Alright, so if we change this to something green, for example, as you see, the effect is not strong, and let's change this back to white. It's not so quite effects. If you take the strength even more, for example 20, that will reduce the effect of the base color. That's not gonna change anything, almost anything. So this one, the color that we have here, is override this one here. Alright, so this slider right here, or the emission that we have here in the principal nodes, will make objects emit light. Okay, let's delete this one. Let's go to the material preview. Let's go to the camera. Alright, we have the alpha right here. This option will make the object visible or invisible. It will make it transparent. Let's go to the render and let's see how this will work. Let's take this back to 0. As you see now, I can't see anything. Now the objects become invisible, and now I can see what's going on, what's behind the object, I mean the ground here. So this alpha, as I said, will make object invisible or visible. You can use a channel here or image to get some effect. For example, let's go to the folder of the images and let's grab, for example, this image right here. Let's open it and let's see it before we use it. This image right here, I will use it. So I will drag it and put it right here. This image is black and white image. I will put the color inside the alpha here. As you see now, the black area now become invisible and the white area now become visible. And because we have a red color here, the I can see now the pattern in the red color. If I change this to something blue, I can see something blue. And I can manipulate the roughness here, and I can make it rough, and all of these sliders are visible to use here with the alpha. So this is how to use the alpha here. Let's delete this one, and let's take this back to 1. Alright, so this is the principal BSDF in the nutshell, and we will take too many examples to understand this node more and more, and we will try to create a nice looking material to learn together how can we achieve that. So that's will do it for this video, and see you in the next